So we begin with this introduction to the course, Humanities 3112. This course is a one-semester course in the sequence that includes Humanities 3111 and 3112. The course is also known as Introduction to Western Culture, and this, of course, would be part 2. We begin this introduction with looking at the intent of the course within our institution, within the programs offered by our institution, UPR Mayagüez. And basically, we base this introduction to the intent on what the catalog tells us. So here's what the catalog tells us is that the course the focus of the course is on the diverse aspects of human culture from a Western perspective. And that this particular semester of the course is related to the period from the Renaissance to the present. The catalog also indicates that in order to understand the ages that we will be studying, we will read texts that come from that time, that are the cultural legacy of that time. So what are these diverse aspects of human culture that the course focuses on? These aspects include the arts, literature, history, philosophy, and religious thought. So we really want to understand what we mean by these diverse aspects. What are the arts? The arts include all conventional and newer forms of visual, narrative, sculptural, and I would say cinematic expression. In addition to that, they include all other forms of creative expression, including, say, architecture, engineering, urban planning, landscape design, and I would also add the arts of living, the arts of medicine and healing, and the arts of loving. When we look at history, what is history all about? History is about the evolution of human affairs, and that includes the evolution of relationships among human groups, the relationship of humans with other species, the elements with nature, the evolution of human-made technologies, and the evolution of human demographics and population. This, in particular, for our age, is relevant in relation to the resources of the earth and the access to these resources. But history is also about the narratives that historiography, or the art of writing history, constructs about these facts. So we have facts and we have narratives that put these facts that present these facts in an interconnected and comprehensible way. Another aspect is philosophy, and in particular, in relation to this course, one aspect of philosophy that will be very relevant is an understanding of the foundations upon which the production of knowledge is based in each era that we will be studying. This is known in philosophy as the area of epistemology. Consider that each era, each culture has an episteme, a series of beliefs, of axioms that people take for granted and upon which the people of that era base their behavior. In particular, for this course, this episteme will be related to the area of cosmology. Cosmology is a scientific interpretation of the cosmos. How do we understand the cosmos? And in this particular period, there is a major shift from the Ptolemaic interpretation of the cosmos that came to us from an Egyptian astrologer in the 2nd century of the Christian era to the Copernican interpretation of the solar system, which is what we still use today. Finally, there is religious thought. What do we mean by this area? We mean the belief systems, the ideologies, and the mythologies upon which people in a certain culture operate. My understanding is that the humanities help us understand these systems and how they evolve, whereas the arts or the creative arts help us invent the belief systems that we may need. And I will give a very quick example. If we operate on a belief system where nature is interpreted as pure matter, we are very likely to abuse nature and to abuse the environment that sustains our lives. If, on the other hand, we operate based on a belief system that attributes to nature a sacred value, that constructs nature as something that is sacred, we will be much more inclined to respect nature and these ecosystems that sustain our lives. So that's what those are. This is a brief summary of all these areas, interconnected areas, that our course will focus upon, that are part of human culture. The focus, of course, will be on Western cultures in the past 500 years. And not only on Western cultures, but on their global effects. And these effects, especially in the past 500 years, are quite significant. In particular, for audiences of this course in the Caribbean island of Puerto Rico, which is part of the larger United States, both languages in which the University of Puerto Rico system operates, including modern English and modern Spanish, are part of these effects. The only reason why we use these two languages in our university, la razón por la cual utilizamos el español y el inglés en nuestra universidad, is because there are global effects to Western cultures. In fact, these languages were unknown on this continent a little over 500 years ago, and there were people here speaking languages. They didn't need these languages in particular, but they got them as a result of these global effects. So, to really understand the historical context of this course, we will base our course on Volume 2 of the textbook, Traditions and Encounters. This text is really a brief global history that takes us around the planet, see what happens in each continent in each given era that we will be studying. As we continue with this introduction to Humanities 3112, we will proceed with an understanding of the syllabus for the course. Here we observe that the course has a thematic organization. This thematic organization relates to the choice of primary texts that form the readings for the course. We all agree that nothing can replace the experience of reading a text from a given age in order to understand the age itself. So the thematic organization that we have chosen allows us, as you can see, to study the humanities from the point of view of love. So the primary texts are chosen based on their relevance in relation to this universal theme. The primary texts are also from main sources in Western culture. These primary texts that we will be reading provide models and examples of the diverse ways in which love has been practiced across time and space. They also provide diversity of human experience, since love is practiced in all walks of life. Just to give one example of how this theme, the kinds of perspectives that this theme opens on the diversity of human experience of love, a typical text that is read in more conventional courses on this period in relation to the Renaissance is the Book of the Courtier, which is a translation of an Italian text called Il Cortegiano by a man named Castiglione, the male courtier. So this book focuses on the behavior that is appropriate for a male courtier in the age of patronage known as the Renaissance in Europe. When instead we really focus on texts that revolve around some practice of love, we can teach a selection, as we do in this course, a selection from the collection of love poetry called Rime, written by Veronica Franco. Veronica Franco was a famous female courtesan. Here we shift our experience to a focus on the experience of women in the Renaissance, especially those women who inhabited the courts and practiced the profession of courtesans. Veronica Franco was also a political agent and a poet. And so this is a bit of an understanding of how our theme enables sort of organic structure to our course, where we follow the practices of love as they evolve and diversify across time and space, and also a perspective on diversity according to the different people in different walks of life that practice love in these different ways. So studying the humanities from the point of view of love includes a focus on the humanities and the arts as the sciences that help humans understand the belief systems under which we operate and to invent the ones we need. We will be guided in our course, in our voyage, we will be guided by some key questions. These key questions include: how can we understand the role of the arts and humanities in planetary existence? What can we learn from the science of time and space called history? Can we use knowledge of human and planetary ecology to generate love and assuage fear? How has love been practiced and understood in human cultures across time and space? What awareness can we gain by visiting past and diverse cultures in human history? How can we generate the sustainable cultures we need? A little more will be said about the method of study that we will be practicing. We will be exercising the art of analytical observation. This art of analytical observation really enables us to look at the three different ages we will be studying in a global horizon, and to really create a sort of integrated discourse on the interrelated aspects that we will be focusing on. Often these three eras that we will be focusing on are known as the early modern era, which roughly correspond to the period of the Renaissance movement in Europe. Then there is the modern era, which usually includes the 19th and the 20th century, or most of it. And often people call the end of the 20th century and the beginning of the new millennium as part of the postmodern era. So what is this global horizon, and how are these aspects of human culture interrelated? We will give just a few examples. The aspects that we have seen are historical, geographical, and geophysical aspects. They also include cultural and technological aspects. And they include social, political, mythological, and cosmological aspects of human culture. Let's look for a moment at how, for example, historical and geophysical aspects or geographical aspects interrelate. We will be studying why both Napoleon and Adolf Hitler got defeated in the Russian campaign. We eventually, in the chapter when we get there, we will find out how and why this happened, and we will learn that it is because of an interrelatedness of historical and geophysical aspects. Another example of how cultural and technological aspects are related, and then they also have effects on the social, political, mythological, and cosmological aspects. Technology provides access to knowledge and to databases. This access transforms belief systems. These belief systems have an effect on behavior. Let's see this in a very concrete example. The telescope allows scientists, astronomers, to observe the motions of the planets, right? Then they find out we're on a planet that is in motion, and therefore the belief system changes. Now we are not locked and stuck at the center of the universe. Our very planet is constantly in motion. That creates a new belief system, that we are in motion. And that, of course, results in a different behavior. Now humans who believe we're in motion on this planet begin to explore the entire planet where that our species inhabits. So we can see how these aspects are all interrelated, and how the art of analytical observation enables us to really understand and comprehend these interrelations. We will interpret love very simply as a force, as an energy, as a source of life. Again, this will be the theme that will organize our thematic approach. And we will observe analytically the multiple manifestations of this force. These include cosmic, planetary, spiritual, affectional, romantic, and erotic manifestations of this energy. So they really go from the most macroscopic dimensions to the most personal and intimate dimension in which this force manifests itself. Here we will not be studying we will not be organizing our thinking around concepts of true or false love, nor are we going to look at bad or good practices of love. That would be really something that is opposed to a principle, the principle of cultural relativism, that regulates friendly and amicable relationships between cultures. It would be actually a form of ethnocentrism, where we would be applying our own prejudices and the ideas with which we are familiar from our belief systems, the belief system that underlie our own culture, to other cultures that may be operating on very different systems. So we will be in a posture of cultural relativism, where we will withdraw judgment from practices of love that may surprise us. Okay. Finally, we remember that this is the hybrid edition of the course Humanities 3112, and there will be a proportion, accordingly, there will be a proportion of attendance time spent online and spent presentially. For this particular edition, the proportions are as follows. For online attendance, it will be about 40% of the time, and presential attendance will be about 60% of the time. So as we continue this introduction to the course Humanities 3112, the hybrid edition, where the study of the humanities is organized around the theme of love, we will be focusing on the organization of the course, especially the areas of the syllabus where this organization is explained, and we will also be focusing on the action points, the kinds of actions that students and participants enrolled in this course at this time are encouraged to take. Okay, so we begin with point 1. Point 1 is about LMS. What is an LMS? LMS stands for Learning Management System. Universities adopt a number of learning management systems for their online education. And in this course, we will be using one of those that our university approves of at UPR Mayagüez. Students, participants who enroll in this course will be expected to also enroll in the online page dedicated to the course in the LMS in use at the time that the course is given. Okay, Then on point 2, we focus on office hours. In a hybrid course where part of the meetings are online, office hours are held in a presential way on the days that the group meets presentially on campus. And they will be held digitally or long distance on the days when the group meets online. For example, if there is a lecture to be listened to on a video online, on that day, the office hours will be held online as well. Usually when I'm on campus, I offer office hours either before my sessions start or in between sessions or after. Then we get to point 3. This point is about personal evolution and transformation. Okay, so we understand that what we learn affects our entire person. Okay, and in fact, there is nothing that is more universal and more personal than the theme around which our study of the humanities is organized, the theme of love. So we may expect some personal transformation and evolution from those participants who will be in the course. And accordingly, we structure the course around an opening circle. In this opening circle, which will be held presentially, participants will express their intention for the course. What kind of evolution, what kind of transformation would you like to get out of this course? You know, what is it that you would like to learn about our theme? What is your aspiration in taking this course? Okay. And then, at the end of the course, we will hold a closing circle. This closing circle will be a time for assessing. Personally, was your aspiration fulfilled in this course? Did you get more? Did you get less? Did you get something you didn't even expect to get? And that happens too a lot. And of course, this will also be a time for the group to really assess what could be improved for future editions of the course. So this is how we really deal with this spiritual and transformational aspect of our education, at least for this particular course. Luego tenemos un aviso importante. Recordamos que estamos enseñando en una universidad que es bilingüe y que tiene 2 idiomas usados oficialmente, el inglés moderno y el español moderno. Okay. Entonces es muy importante para nosotros establecer un espacio educativo bilingüe. ¿Cómo podemos establecer esto? En mi práctica de enseñanza, yo siempre me he preocupado mucho de establecer ese tipo de espacio educativo. Okay. Primero, para poder establecer este tipo de espacio es importante que la persona que enseña sea competente en ambos idiomas utilizados. Y pienso que en eso yo puedo proveer esa capacidad. Okay. Segundo, debemos considerar que en todos idiomas que está en uso hay ciertas capacidades que son más pasivas y ciertas que son más activas. Entre la capacidad pasiva podemos recordar, leer y escuchar. Cuando estamos leyendo o escuchando, estamos en alguna manera recibiendo las palabras de alguien. ¿Okay? Estamos absorbiendo información que nos llega de una producción lingüística. Otras 2 actividades que son más activas son hablar y escribir. ¿Okay? Cuando somos nosotros que tenemos la palabra o que estamos redactando una composición escrita, allí estamos en una fase, en un momento más productivo de nuestra expresión lingüística. Entonces, para mantener este espacio educativo bilingüe, es muy importante que cada persona que hace parte de este espacio, en cualquier momento, en estar presente en este espacio, está en una modalidad de escucha, en la que está dispuesto a escuchar o a leer en el idioma en que en este momento la persona o el texto que produce la expresión lingüística está expresándose. ¿Okay? Entonces es muy importante tener siempre esta capacidad de escucha, esta mente abierta en lo que vamos a escuchar. Y recordamos que para todos nosotros los conocimientos lingüísticos no son simétricos. No conocemos todos los idiomas que conocemos de la misma manera. Entonces, para todos participantes, todo y todas participantes, es un momento de esfuerzo. Recordamos también que los idiomas se aprenden escuchando y leyendo. Eso es mucho más útil que muchas clases de gramática. Así que esa es una manera de crear un espacio bilingüe que sea educativo a la escucha y la lectura en idiomas que estamos en alguna manera metabolizando dentro de nuestro sistema. En vez, al momento en que una persona en particular en este espacio educativo esté tomando la palabra, sea que sea un estudiante o una estudiante haciendo una pregunta, o que sea profesor o la profesora, o una lectura que hay que hacer, o un video que hay que escuchar, ¿okay? Es allí que la persona que en este momento está produciendo activamente va a poder escoger en cualquier momento el idioma de su conveniencia, el idioma de su preferencia. ¿Okay? Esto no significa que si un estudiante hoy hace una pregunta en español, mañana debe seguir utilizando el mismo idioma. Cada persona que está en una fase activa, en cualquier momento en que esté activo o activa, va a escoger el idioma de su preferencia. Así que manteniendo esta aptitud, vamos a poder mantener un espacio educativo bilingüe en que todo el mundo va a aprovechar mejorando su conocimiento de los dos idiomas en uso, y cada persona que en cualquier momento desee expresarse según las reglas del curso va a encontrar una escucha atenta. Okay, so this is what is really important and about our aviso importante of this bilingual educational space. On screen 5, number 5, we have a more detailed course description that really helps us understand how we are going to get organized in order to study the humanities from the point of view of love. The art of analytical observation is what will guide us as we integrate the different interdisciplinary aspects of human culture that will be our focus. This art of analytical observation will also enable us to observe the levels of existence where the energy of love manifests. To give just a few guiding questions at this point, this part also presents a series of three anecdotal questions. The first one is really, all three of these questions are really intended for us to interrogate the narrative according to which Western culture or Western civilization is a privileged culture, is a culture that manifests some superiority or some special form of the truth. So here are the questions. One refers to Gandhi, the leader of the independence of India from the colonization of Great Britain. So Gandhi at some point was asked what he thought about Western civilization, and apparently what he replied was that it would be a great idea. The implication being that perhaps the West wasn't all that civilized yet, that maybe there was something that the West could have learned from ancient cultures, the ancient cultures of Asia. Then one of the justifications for this kind of course in a curriculum for an American university, or at least a university that is in some region of the Americas, is that in a way the current cultures of America relate to a past that is situated back in Europe, and that does apply to a very large extent to us. However, it is important to also, in this meta-narrative of the migration of Western cultures from Europe to the Americas, it is important to also look at the role of the Caribbean and the events that really affected this region and the original people of this region due to the way that things evolved. Okay. Another important area of interrogation is, so if the cultural practices of Western culture were applied on a global scale, what would happen to the people of the planet and to the planet itself? Are these practices sustainable? So that's another big question mark in relation to the voyage that this course proposes for us. So next, on point 6, we look at the objectives of this course. Objectives are a way for teachers to assess the results, the expected results, learning outcomes of a certain educational experience. And in this case, we have a number of objectives. One is related to facts. We want to make sure that there is a certain familiarity with the facts, the main important facts of the period we will be studying. Another one concerns the narratives. How are the interconnections between these facts integrated into a narrative, and what are these narratives, these different or sometimes conflicting narratives into which the facts are integrated? Another area that is important is understanding the transitions. An era ends in a certain year and begins the next year, but the change doesn't happen overnight. Change is always gradual. Sometimes it can be more intense. So we want to focus on these transitions as well. Next, one of the objectives is really understanding Western culture in its effects. And in particular for this period, we will focus on the colonial effects, because this half millennium is a period when Western culture becomes more and more dominant on all the continents of the world. Another objective is really to gain experience in the diversity of practices of love that have been present, that have been part of the lives of people across time and space, so that we come away from the course with a wider understanding of the power of this energy and of how we can channel and use it for ourselves and for those we love. Finally, another objective is really learning to be present and to be part and a participant in a learning community. As we embark in this voyage of this course, we will be a community. And a community of equals, to some extent, of course, a community of equals, all of us intent in both teaching and learning, and therefore a community that needs service, needs people dedicated to service, and it needs also to circulate these acts of service among all of our members. So being part of a community of learning and being of service to this community is another objective of our learning outcomes in this course. Finally, since this is a hybrid course and a lot of the learning will happen online, another objective is really for us to become better, more capable of learning online, learning and practicing more online learning skills. Yes, and so we come to screen 7, which focuses on the locations for the hybrid learning experiences that students in this class will have. And unlike fully presential courses, there will be 3 locations where this learning experience will happen. One is at home, one is in class, and then there is what I've called your digital study hub. And let's look at what happens in each one of these 3 locations briefly. It's important that before coming to class at home, really preparing for class attendance. And how do we do that? We do that by reading carefully the materials that have been assigned, by noting our impressions. It could be done in a tablet, or if you have a print of the reading on the margins. And also by thinking of interesting questions that you can bring to class for our discussion, so that our shared discussion in the presential meeting times are about your questions. What are your questions about the materials, the contents of the class? What kind of doubts, what kind of inspiring thoughts have these readings brought to you? Okay. Second, we will focus on your digital study hub. What is this? Of course, if you know, in this class, we will all experience a lot of online learning. How does online learning happen? It happens in an environment where there is high-speed internet, a well-functioning, stable system of high-speed internet. And so we need to make sure that our digital study hubs are well equipped with that. And good bandwidth, good connection, and all of those things that make it easy to learn online. And also we have to make sure that this digital study hub is in a place that is comfortable and conducive of good focus. Even if there is a great internet connection, but it's a very noisy place with a lot of traffic, it could be hard to really get the focus we need to learn online. Another very important aspect of this is to, for students, for every one of us, students and teachers, to be really well equipped with the digital devices that facilitate this learning. And these include, of course, a tablet. I think a good tablet can do for this course. A laptop computer can do even better. If we do bring those to class, it's important that they be charged. And they are, the vehicles of our connection to the stream of learning that happens online. So in terms of the actual activities of learning online that are most important in this course are attending lectures on video. There are 9 lectures, each one is a separate video, lasting about 1 hour. It's an approximate time for a total of about 9 hours of attendance online, including actually this hour if you attended online. And then each student will report the exact time of attendance. And then this will be followed by a very quick attendance quiz about the content of the course, so that each lecture will complete a period of 1 hour and 15 minutes, approximately. So a 1 hour lecture online followed by a quiz that will last no more than 10 minutes online. And also for our reading materials are also online. It's on the LMS. It's important to download it or to access them in some other ways if we prefer to read them on a device or make a print if necessary. That's the preferred way. Okay. A number of the multiple choice and identification questions exams are online, and therefore those exams will be taken online as well. Those exams are available in both languages. In other words, if there is a question, it will be asked in both English and Spanish, and the answers that you can choose from are available in both English and Spanish. So all these online tests are bilingual, which is a great advantage of having these tests online. Todas las preguntas de los exámenes en escoge múltiple o de identificación están disponibles en línea. Sería decir que cada pregunta está ya presentada en sí en ambos idiomas, sea la pregunta misma, sea las contestaciones que hay que escoger. Okay. In addition to that, there are reports due, at least a couple of reports due, but maybe more, and these are also uploadable. They will be uploaded to the LMS system that will be in use for the course. So that's a little bit everything that happens in your digital study hub, and you see how important it is to really have it well tended and well equipped, like a little hub, a little personal hub. Finally, there is presential attendance in a hybrid course, and what is really important in that time that we meet presentially, which is really going to be a very fruitful time, because a lot of the time that we meet is online, and therefore we don't have that presential aspect of learning, which enables us to communicate immediately with one another, to form groups, to have panels, to have all those activities in class that can only be done presentially. That's the advantage of a hybrid course, is that we don't meet for things that can be done online. We meet when it's really important and necessary that we all be together in class. So what are the class activities? Well, first of all, it's very important when we are present to be fully present, to take care of our needs. physical needs, well-being needs, mental energy needs. How do we meet our needs? We all have our different ways, but it's very important to know what these needs are and to meet them before coming to class. So we want to be fully present to the class activities that are at hand. This could be very simple things like following instructions or respecting a professor's time and space, not crowding my desk so that I don't know which person to answer first. Then of course there is reading, there is commenting, there is responding to questions, there is sharing insights and impressions, focusing, respecting other people's time to speak, space and rhythm, not starting to pack when everybody is still taking notes, for example, waiting for one's turn to speak. And sometimes we do peer review grading sessions in class, so participating in those is also very important. So when we are in class, we are present to one another as a learning community. We are fully present with our mind, our body, and our spirit. We create a beautiful digital study hub for ourselves. We could study with a friend or two. I mean, that's always allowed in small groups that share a digital study hub. If that's convenient and it's a preferred way, that's fine. But the digital study hub has to be well equipped and well tended. And then we have the time that, we study at home in the more conventional way, using like a textbook or a print reading material. So that's about the locations of our hybrid learning experience. Okay. Next, point 8, we are going to talk about the exams. This always interests students a lot, so we are going to dwell on this quite a bit. There are many, many different ways in which participants, students who are enrolled in the course can earn credit toward their grade in the course. And this is designed to really value all the skills that students bring to the course, all the diverse skills. And it's also designed to really help students evolve more in the skills in which they are not so strong and practice the skills in which they are very strong. Some students are tremendously strong at multiple choice exams, so there is some of that. Other students prefer to write an essay, and there is some of that. Other students are really born leaders and they like to lead a class discussion. There is some of that. Other students really are devoted to service, and so there is also ways to earn credit with that practice. So let's go through a little bit of the details. Okay, so there will be three significant exams in the course. Each one focuses one of the 3 ages we will be studying. The age of global interdependence from 1500 to 1800, the age of revolution, industry and empire from 1750 to 1914, and the age of global realignments from 1914 to the present day. Each exam, the first exam is mainly a multiple choice exam. The second and the third exam include multiple choice and identification questions. These identification questions are about the readings. Students are asked to identify an excerpt from a reading that we had in class. And the third exam also recapitulates some of the previous 2 exams. Okay. Finally, according to the regulations for hybrid courses, there will be a final exam. This final exam will be a recapitulation of all these 3 exams that will be taken online. However, the final exam will be taken presentially in the period of finals week. So I repeat, the 3 significant exams, each one relates primarily to a part of the course that will be present to us at that time, and all 3 of these exams will be taken online. They will include a proportion of multiple choice and identification questions. There will be a final exam that will be taken presentially, but the content will be very similar and analogous to the content of the 3 exams already taken. Okay. Besides this, there are many other ways to earn credit in this course. And so we go to the screen that focuses on the different modalities that have been pre-established. First is attendance. Attendance, both presential and online, earns points. Okay. 2 is preparedness. Preparedness for class means having read all the assignments for the course, bringing interesting questions for class discussion to the course. Also, being willing to undertake leadership in a particular area of the course. Okay. So here we go to Appendix 1. Appendix 1 explains to us what is this leadership. As you will see in Appendix 1, we see a list of authors, all the authors whose texts we will be reading from number 1 to number 11, and the first readings are related to the first part of the course. The second group of readings are related to the second part, and then the last 3 readings are related to the third part of the course. So as you see in this appendix, there are certain boxes for students who are willing to undertake leadership in the class discussion of that particular reading. So it is very important for all of you at this time to examine these readings, which are available on the LMS, and to decide which ones you want to take leadership for. Okay? It's important to choose readings that you're really interested in, that excite you, because that will be really your investment in the course, is to focus on these readings and help to lead the class discussion. So as students sign up for readings, the groups will be formed, and there will be a group of 3, 4, 5 students leading the class discussion for that particular reading. This is a great experience if you are a born leader, but it's also a great experience if you're not, because it will teach you in a friendly way how to contribute to that leadership. So please do take the time to look at these readings and pick the ones that excite you the most. We expect each student to choose 4 readings in order of preference, to provide us with a list of 4 preferred readings. We cannot assure that every student will get what they want, but we will make the best effort so that everybody's preference are considered very carefully. Okay. Another way to, another modality for which you get credit is being a technical assistant in being of service, for example, to a presential session where we need technical assistance with setting up the audiovisual system. By doing that, you earn points. Okay. Finally, we have another significant test for this course, and that has to do again with the readings. Okay, for these 4 readings that are on your favorite list for leadership of class discussion, at least one will be a special experience for you, where by reading about this author's experience of love, you will learn something about yourself, about your experience of love, or about experiences of love that you would like to have. And so that is an essay that's an essay of personal experience. Here we go to Appendix 2. And there we see that the sheet gives you guidance on how to choose the reading that you want to write about, and what questions to ask yourself to find out what really is an appropriate reading and how to organize your essay. This will be a brief essay, an essay of 1, 2, maximum 3 pages, double-spaced, that will be uploaded to our LMS, and that will be at least ideally 50% personal and 50% related to the reading itself. A proportional balance, so that you also learn to bring the teachings of this course within your own person, to the whole person, to your own personal ecosystem. Finally, and for this we go to Appendix 3, there will be designated cultural events that become somehow integrated in the course. These will be designated at the beginning of each semester. So another option for those who really love to write essays and like to earn points that way is to write an essay about a cultural event, a designated cultural event that they've participated in. And Appendix 3 gives you guidance onto what kinds of questions you want to address in this particular assignment. This is not a review. It's not like you go to a movie and then you write a review of the movie. No, it's really it's an essay about your participation in that particular event. Okay. Next, we come to looking at the responsibilities that students who attend the course have on their hands. What is your end of the bargain? My end is, of course, providing the space for the course, the learning space online, the learning space presentially, and all the tools that enable you to be successful. But then there is a large part of responsibility that is really in the hands of those who attend the course, including yourself. So for each course, for each 3-credit course, there are 40 hours of attendance per semester. Okay. When in a hybrid course, some of these hours are online and some are presential. So you are responsible for attending 45 hours, for these 45 hours of attendance to the course, whether it is online attendance or presential attendance. Online attendance is just as important and just as accountable for as presential attendance. Another important point is that usually in one semester I am in charge of maybe 2 or 3 sections of the course. So I expect students to stay within that session. If a session meets at 2, students who are enrolled in that session are expected to come to class at 2, and so on and so forth. Sometimes students, for their own schedule, request a transfer. Say, instead of coming at 2, they prefer to come at 3:30. These requests must be during the first week of course, because once that week passes, it's very difficult for me to make any changes. And you can request that, but sometimes I have to say no, because maybe you want to go to a session that is already overcrowded, and so it would not be good overall to do that. Okay. There could be an exceptional case where, say, you are sick on the day of an exam and would like to take that exam on another day in another session, and I can make exceptions when there is an exceptional case. Okay. Another responsibility, as we said before, is for every student who attends the course in its hybrid form to enroll in the designated LMS and to stay tuned for whatever communications and notices and avisos might come through that system. Another very important responsibility in being an online learning, practicing online learning as we are in a hybrid course, is to equip yourself with a digital device that enables you to do so. This could be a tablet or it could be a laptop, and these, if you bring them to class, they have to be well charged, because we don't have enough sockets in our classrooms. But it is your responsibility to equip yourself with these digital devices. It is also your responsibility to keep them effective and in good order. Okay. Finally, in this list of responsibility is the fact that consideration for the facts that a number of students come to these basic courses of our university without the skills that are necessary to do well in the writing assignments. So for that purpose, our campus has 2 writing centers that are active. One is, of course, in English and one is in Spanish. And students who feel that their writing skills in whatever language of their preference are not adequate to perform well in a course of this level should go to these writing centers early in the semester, where they will receive the tutoring that will make them capable of doing better in those assignments. Sería decir que muchos estudiantes y estudiantas llegan con algunas lagunas lingüísticas, especialmente lagunas de redacción. Entonces, es por eso que tenemos dos centros de redacción, uno para el español y el otro para el inglés. Y los estudiantes, las estudiantes que tienen esta lacuna, que se dan cuenta de tener estas lagunas, especialmente en esta lacuna se perciben al momento de leer, porque si uno tiene dificultad en leer, va muy probablemente a tener dificultades también en la escritura. Entonces, estos centros de redacción ayudan a los estudiantes con estas lagunas a colmar estas lagunas, a capacitarse para salir bien en lo que son las pruebas de escritura de nuestro curso. Okay. Then we get to point 11, and here we focus on the textbook and the readings. Okay. So the textbook, as we have said, is entitled Traditions and Encounters, A Brief Global History. We have organized the materials of this textbook so that any edition you find commercially is going to work, because we have reorganized so that there should be no confusion about which part we are on and which chapter of that part we are focusing on in that particular segment of the videos. So any edition you find is good. And I highly recommend that you get a hold of a copy of Volume 2 of Traditions and Encounters, be it a new copy or a used copy, being a newer edition or an older edition. Okay. It's a very important textbook. I also recommend that you keep it, actually, for future reference. I want to briefly list the readings that refer to each age that we will be studying. The first age is the age of global interdependence, from 1500 to 1800. The readings for this age will be from the following authors: Dante, Petrarca, Gaspar Stampa, Luis Labé, Veronica Franco, William Shakespeare, Jean Racine, Giacomo Casanova, and the Count of Montesquieu. Okay. Then we will be studying the age of revolution, industry, and empire. And the readings for this age are, the authors of these readings are Mary Wollstonecraft and her pamphlet, Vindication of the Rights of Women, Lord Byron and his epic poem, Don Juan, actually, because it's an English poem on Don Juan. We will be reading the second canto. Then we will be reading an ode of Percy Bysshe Shelley, the Romantic poet, one chapter of the realist writer Gustave Flaubert, and the introduction by Frederick Engels to his study of the origins of private property, the family, and the state. Finally, for the third age, we will be focusing on, which is the age of global realignments, or basically the 20th century. We have three readings for that age. One is Sigmund Freud's essay on femininity. The other one is the introduction to Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystique. And finally, we have excerpts from our contemporary author, Bell Hooks, from her book entitled All About Love. Okay. On the subsequent point number 12 in the syllabus, we have, here we see the beginning of the calendar. We see that the syllabus is very detailed, and for each week it presents 2 meetings, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it presents exactly what will be covered in that meeting. This calendar is subject to change because university calendars do change, but it will be followed in any way that is possible. Because we have because this introduction will apply to editions of the course over the years, we have left the dates of this calendar blanks. We indicate the months because those are more or less the same, but then the specific dates of each month will have to be filled as you get your own print of the syllabus and as you look at the calendar of the semester when you will be taking the course. So to better understand the next age we will be studying in this course of Humanities 3112, which is the age of global interdependence from 1500 to 1800. To better understand this age, we need to step back a little and quickly review a movement of cultural transformation that started in Europe in the middle of the 14th century, namely the 1300s, and continued and expanded well into the period of the subsequent 300 years. Let's look at this movement then. This movement, of course, is known as the European Renaissance. The Renaissance is a European movement of cultural transformation that started in the interdependent cities of the territories today known as Italy and the Netherlands. And then it expanded from those territories. This movement came into being in the late 14th century as a result of medieval people's need to do things in different ways. Why did they need to do things in different ways? Because of the devastating effects of the bubonic plague that struck Europe in the middle of the 14th century, particularly the year of 1348 was one of the worst. This bubonic plague decimated the population. And so because because so many people were dead, the survivors had to reorganize the way they did things. And so this helped them open their mind to new ideas. It is one classical example of a crisis which turns into an opportunity to really make change. The movement is also can also be understood as the manifestation of a desire to better understand and better learn from the cultural legacy of the classical era. These legacies were now being studied by the humanists with an open mind, with a genuine interest in finding new models. This happened especially in the academies that the humanists founded to evade the surveillance of universities that were still controlled by Christian doctrines. So the humanistic movement is really an intellectual movement that anticipates the Renaissance and that forms it from that intellectual viewpoint, whereas the need for change that was felt by the population decimated by the bubonic plague is really more like a popular source for this change. How is this movement relevant to our theme? That's the interesting part, right? So the movement of the Renaissance focused attention on where to direct the energies of love. In medieval, in the prevailing cultural practices and doctrines of the Middle Ages, all our love was going to be directed toward an invisible God that is always surveilling us and demands incredible sacrifices for the promise to save our souls someday, namely when life has already ended. So the people who were active in this transformational movement would ask these kinds of questions. Can't we invest some of these energies towards loving ourselves, loving one another, loving our skills, our intelligence, our inventions, loving other species, loving nature? Okay? And indeed, this is largely what people did in classical societies, such as ancient Greece, or even the older societies from which the Greeks learned, and then in the Hellenistic period in Rome. So the Renaissance movement manifested early in the interdependent city-states of Italy. Why did that happen? Because in these circles of interdependent cities that were administering themselves, the people of these cities were prosperous enough to invest in the arts and the sciences and were not intent in building big states with their defensive armies and extensive administrations, which is what was happening at that time, for example, in England and France under their respective monarchies. So the people of these interdependent city-states had more time to dedicate to the practices of love the humanists rediscovered by studying the classics. And these practices were reflected in the arts, including painting, sculpture, and poetry, and architecture that was produced at that time in those cities. The themes and tropes, the beliefs and the impulses of the Renaissance traveled very rapidly across Europe. They traveled especially to France and then England and to other countries. And of course, the Netherlands was another epicenter of the Renaissance, also for the scientific aspect of that. Very important. But at this time, at least, they did not affect Spain a whole lot. All in all, the Renaissance was a movement that invited wide participation and benefited from the generous patronage from the rich mercantile families of that era. We can say that the movement replaced the central preoccupation with the afterlife that dominated the Middle Ages with another central preoccupation, which was a preoccupation with terrestrial life that then turned out to dominate both the early modern and the modern era. However, the movement did not debunk the cultural centrality of masculinity and the centrality of the experience of male gender to human culture. In many ways, the Renaissance continued to demonize the feminine, marginalize women. But fortunately, it was not very effective in this. Okay, we can also say that especially in its initial phase, the Renaissance was characterized by an enchantment with nature, an enchantment with life, an enchantment with love. The movement opened up spaces of wider cultural discourse, activism, and exchange with ample participation. This, of course, encouraged desires for explorations beyond the areas of the world that the Europeans of the time were even aware of. Eventually, the mode of enchantment turned into one of control, or perhaps fear of lack of control, especially when it turned out that what the Europeans of the time knew about the world was indeed very little, considering that they had not even been aware of the existence of a whole nother hemisphere, with its continent, the Americas and Oceania, and its oceans, the Pacific Ocean. So in studying the era of global interdependence, we become more aware of this movement's global effects.